bro, I was so discouraged when that happened. I told my manager, I'm like, I don't even want to talk to them anymore. I'm going to tell you what to tell them, and you're going to do that because I'm so frustrated. I'm going to yell. I'm going to be pissed off. What I should have done is yelled and been pissed off. What happened was I thought my manager was going to express how I felt, but instead they started getting in his head. He started to be in the label. He started thinking like, damn, oh, you don't got enough this. Oh, maybe you're not the shit. Maybe I should. Da-da. And then it kind of started fucking with me like, damn, bro, like, am I not lit enough? Is my music not good? Like, do I not have enough likes? Like, should I work with other people and get more features?
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny, fueled by Monster Energy.
Are you a vintage shopper?
Nowadays, I am. I feel like when I was like, I'm 24 now, so when I was like 21 and like 20, like very new to like the industry, the game, and like life outside of my life, I feel like I was much more like into like designer clothes and da-da-da-da, like, and shit like that. And now as I've gotten older, it's like I only wear like my own shit, my friend's shit, or like vintage stuff, because it's like I don't want to be wearing the same thing as other people, you know?
Like when you're wearing your own shit, are you wearing just like tour merch?
So I actually started a company last year called Troubled Humans with a couple of my buddies that I grew up with, and we got like everything, like this mask right here.
That's your beanie?
Yeah.
It's a mask?
Yeah.
Rip that thing down.
Ready to rock.
I saw the hole in the back.
Oh, that thing's so tight.
I'm ready to shred.
Man, so Danny makes his own beanies. That's his beanie company,
Yeah,
Dover.
I made this.
Damn, that's sick.
We used to have a snowboard clothing company, glove company called Grenade Gloves.
I remember
Boom.
that. I grew up like watching you guys on TV and shit.
That's awesome.
Like Fuel TV.
Fuel TV, dude.
And like all that types of, and there's a snowboard show too.
What was the snowboard show? That was our show.
Well, we had a certain one. Then there was like the standard.
There was
That's
no
not like your
TV
full on
show.
whole show, right?
There was no snowboarding in our show.
No, there
Okay.
was some
Was there?
in the intro.
Maybe
or
I just feel like because
something.
you kind of got your start from like the snowboard scene, kind of, right?
Uh-huh.
And then popped out and just like did your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think where that first introduction to you that I got was.
Would have been Fuel TV.
Probably, huh?
Yeah, we'd like own Fuel TV for like the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool. For us, it
Hella
was like
cool. Shit was epic.
It
Watch
was
that
like
shit all the time.
It was like one of those things where it was like when we originally did it, we like did it to like it to be on MTV, and we were on Robin Big, and these other like shows were on MTV at that time.
Yeah.
And the goal was to try and go that route, and it just ended up we buddied up with like the vice president at Fuel TV, and he was like, just do what you guys do, and
I think it was sick.
we literally like it was raw, it was real. It like the first season we like hired a bunch of filmers, and then we went on this tour where we were trying to find the next grenade snowboarder.
Yeah.
And that just ended up being a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even have like a deal in place. We just like had like 3 filmers, and it was like.
I think that was what's so
All right.
fire about it too, is that it was raw, and it wasn't quite like what you were saying, like MTV Robin Big, like, you know, it's like
It was
hard to believe some of that.
Like, you know, like those shows like were legitimate produced shows where
Yeah.
there were like episodes were written out.
Not no run and gun.
Yeah, there was no run and gun. Every episode was written out. Yeah, what they
Yeah.
did was like real, but it was like an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That's what those shows were, and it was just had reality characters in it, out like living out real life reactions. But they literally knew what was going to happen the whole time. So
Yeah.
it was cool. And then only that, it wasn't like we just had one season. We were on TV for like 6 years. So
Yeah,
it's
it was
like,
a
and it was
long time.
I feel like then was like it was like the mecca of it. Like Fuel TV had this core audience,
Mm-hmm.
which today you still have that core audience there, which is the core audience. I don't know if we've done the intro, but Young Pinch is here at Monster, musician, rapper.
Young Pinch.
yes, sir.
And he's actually been a Monster for a long time. So you're a long time guy.
It's been a couple years now, for real.
Which is cool. And then only that, you're from Huntington Beach.
Yes, sir.
Which is so ghetto. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like you, again, like talking about Fuel TV and action sports, you kind of grew up in the mecca of action sports and then became a rapper. So it's like you did the
100%.
opposite, but then kept it real.
Yeah, I think, and that was also like what kind of is unique to me as well, was like I am like this white boy from Huntington Beach, right? But I'm not like the stereotypical type, you know what I mean? Like even the fact that I like rap and used to like, you know, dance and did certain things that like most people from where I'm from probably wouldn't have felt comfortable to be able to do, just because of like, this is who I am and this is where I'm from, you know? But me incorporating like what I've been through as a kid, which also wasn't very like normal childhood for someone else that grew up in Huntington Beach, where like a lot of people like have the cookie cutter family. They have like the money, you know what I mean? Like they have the stability of life to know that like, oh, after high school, like I'm gonna have something for me, or like people are gonna look after me, you know? So like I feel like growing up, like I gravitated toward kids that were a bit more like me and not necessarily like that type of a background, and what kind of like shaped me to be who I am by the time I did start making music. But then again, there's the parts of Huntington Beach that are about me that like you'll never be able to take out. Like growing up listening to Blink and all the music and stuff that like was just on the radio, like in my parents' car or in my grandparents' car or my aunt and uncle's car. And anyone's
Isn't that
car.
cool?
Yeah,
Like
that's
182's in grandma's car.
Or just like, you know, Jack FM, like all the, like everything that would just be on the radio, like that whole time in that culture, like snowboarding, skating, surfing.
Offspring?
There's no way I would run away from that. Yeah, Offspring, like someone in my family super close with one of the guitarists. Like it's just all like stuff like
It's
that.
connected.
It's
Because you
all
come from a
connected.
bit of a musically background family, correct? Am I wrong?
No, not really at all. My mom's terrible at singing. She's like spent her whole life pretty much in and out of jail on drugs. My dad kind of the same boat. My grandma's a nurse, my aunt's a nurse. Like I'm kind of the only like creative, like artistic, musically anything like that in my whole family, which is kind of crazy. But they've always been like super supportive of me, and they've also had like great taste within music and things like that, even if they didn't directly like make it. For example, like my aunt and uncle were like bartenders as a young age, and like they'd have Sublime come play at their bar for free just so they could practice before they even got to the point where it was like, oh, that's fucking Sublime.
That's legit.
Yeah, just cool little stories like that. And like we were backstage with them, like they were in the scene of certain things, you know what I mean, to where like they have an appreciation for it, but like no actual talent or skill. Whereas me, it was like kind of the opposite. There wasn't really no like scene or anything like that when I was growing up in Huntington as far as musically, you know, like even like the punk stuff, all that stuff started phasing out. Everyone was starting to listen to rap music, you know. One thing that was like constant was the skateboarding and the snowboarding and the surfing and like all the action sport
It's
culture.
like built around it, right?
Yeah, I just grew up on. You
All
know
the
what I mean?
companies in
Like,
here, you grew up down the road from Volcom.
oh, what? I went to Marina High School, so right behind our school was Just Live's warehouse, and they would have sample sales. Everyone at the school would have Just Live on, like
That's kinda
same
sick.
shit. It was
That's
cool
dope.
until everyone had the same shit
Yeah.
and found out about it. Then it was like, no one wears Just Live no more, because then you're gonna go to the sample sale and you show up to school and 8 people had the same shirt as you.
Everyone's got the same kid
Yeah,
on.
but parts of that is like all those upbringing and like that culture, I guess, from Orange County. I try and incorporate that as much as I can, like all the authentic things to myself into like the rap side and the music side, you know what I mean, to where devil's advocate, even as a rapper, right, like most rappers or people who make the type of music that I make aren't skating, surfing, snowboarding. They don't even have that necessary like that actual authentic background, you know. So just staying true to me and as much as I can, you know what I mean, and incorporating that into the music is how I feel like I kind of like made my lane and like established myself, really, because there's a lot of people that can relate to that, you know. Like I'm not trying to like, you know, like kill people or like sell a bunch of drugs or anything. Like I just talk about my regular life.
But if you
know?
were trying to say that, people wouldn't buy it. So it's not. You're right. It's not
Exactly,
authentic.
yeah.
Whereas you've incorporated your life, your upbringing, to you, and it's authentic. And there's obviously a huge audience out there for it.
Yeah.
You stay true to the beach. You stay true to the culture that you grew up around. You said did your grandma kind of help raise you a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So like my grandma adopted me from my mom probably like in the first year of my life, and then I spent my whole life like with my grandparents, aside from like 2 months, like probably like 3 times that I tried to live with my mom, but like some crazy shit happened and I ended up having going back home like every time. Then the 3rd time was the charm, and I was like, all right, I'm not trying to do that no more. Like then I just started to get older, and it was like I'm like getting older, like I don't need to live with my mom, or like I'm becoming my own person, you know. Then my grandpa passed away when I was 11, and that kind of like definitely like shaped me into who I am today, because I was like, all right, it's just me and my grandma. If my grandma passes away, then I don't really have anybody. Like I gotta put on for myself, for my family, and like there's no other option, like there's no other like backup plan, you know. So at that age I started like trying to be like the man of the house, you know what I mean? Like my grandma was super depressed and stuff like that, and it was kind of like, we got to move on, we got to get past this, we got to keep going, you know what I mean? And then at that time it was like there's not even a thought in my mind that I'm like trying to like give my like rekindle and try and live with my mom and figure this stuff out. Like I need to figure my own life out. Like there's one thing that I learned from my parents, it'd be like what not to do and what not to be, you know. So
And are your parents still around?
Yeah, my dad's still around. My mom's like on the streets. Like you hear from her here and then, and it's like she has like mental health issues and stuff from doing drugs and so long. To the point where it's like we tried to help for so many years and do so many things that it's like there's not really much you could do. It's like heartbreaking and it's sad. Like there's still days where like I'd be crying just thinking about that shit, you know?
Yeah.
But I can't do anything to necessarily change it right now. You can't help somebody that doesn't want help, you know? And I think that's like a very like real thing. Like for me, it's like all the life experiences that I've gone through, like they made me who I am, and like I wouldn't go back and change any of that at this point now. You know what I mean? Because like bad things happen to good people or whatever, and like because they can handle it. Like, you know, God gives his biggest battles to his strongest soldiers and stuff like that. I feel like I went through all that to be able to like talk about it now here, and someone else listen to it that might be going through the same thing and be like, damn, like if he could do it, then I could do it. If he could go the other way, then I can go the other way, you know? And like that's not necessarily always cool, you know what I mean, to like be the wise guy or like, oh, I'm not gonna do drugs, like I'm gonna not do drugs, I'm gonna change my life because I don't want to be anything like my parents. Usually when people have like a rough childhood or they grow up with people that aren't drugs, like I'm gonna be just like them, I'm gonna do drugs because no one loves me, and they don't care, and da-da-da. Like, which is easy to do that. That's what like a lot of society is gonna tell you to do. That's what like the media would probably tell you to do, you know what I mean? Or if you wanted to be an artist, right, the media is gonna tell you to be like every other artist, dress like everyone else, talk about what they're talking about. Nobody's being authentic to themselves and their own story, you know? And that is authentic to me and my story. So that's why I can't change that, you know? I can't change any of it. I just address it and choose to move in a way that like is still confident and it's not going to hold me back. And I think that is more inspiring than like anything I could say in a song, you know?
Yeah, that's super inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, do you think that because of your situations with your family as a kid, do you think that's made you grow up a lot quicker?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like when my grandpa died when I was 11, like that was like 5 years skip right there, you know, like just like thinking about things that like 11-year-old kid would never think about. Like, oh, if my grandma died, where am I gonna live? I might be an orphan. My family might not have enough to pay for me to live with them. Like that's shit you're not thinking about at 11. Most people are not thinking about at 11 years old. You know what I mean? And whether even like at the time I realized how much that had an effect on me, opposed to like now at 24, like it's like catastrophic, you know. I didn't realize till later. Or even like blowing up right after graduating high school, you know, at like 18, 19 years old, 19, and then turned out like what, 2, 3, I turned 21.
What high school did you graduate from?
Marina High School.
So you went there, graduated from
I graduated, and then I did like 1 year of community college at Golden West College because I got like $3,500 a month from like like government grants because my grandma had adopted me from my mom just to go to class. So I was like going to class,
get that money
that I like. Yeah, and it was like keeping my family off my back, giving me money to pursue what I wanted to do, drive back and forth from LA and make music, you know? And then like 19, everything started kind of taking off for me. And then at 21, I signed a deal for $1 million. And then it's like,
who was that with?
The rest with Columbia Records.
Yeah.
But I had gotten
Are you still
all the
with
way.
them or no?
No. That only lasted for a year and a half. That was a really rough situation. Like,
well, let's talk about that. Like,
man.
Record deals are not what they.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream come true, right?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'll be a documentary about my life someday with the amount of things that I've gone through.
I think there will be, man. I've actually followed your career from the beginning.
Yeah.
And Cisco's a really close friend of mine.
Yeah.
And you've
Cisco Adler.
You've always put out like Cisco vibes, and Cisco's kind of his dad's a living legend, so it's kind of Cisco and the whole family. But me and him got speaking about you once, and I think there is something there, and I think you're own. It's crazy. You're because of what you have gone through. I think you're a bit of an old soul.
100%.
And I think you're also someone that's going to have super longevity, and you're going to be doing the same shit you're doing right now. You'll be 60 and doing. So I don't think there's an issue there. But it's crazy because most people will sign a record deal, and that is, you know, the holy grail.
I mean, it's great. It's a great thing. You know, it's just got to be. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it all. You know, like
there's a lot of fine print.
Yeah, and just everything's different for everybody, right? Like some people, you know, sign to a label, they get a bad deal because they signed like too early. Like you didn't do anything for yourself to have any leverage in negotiating business, right? So that's one thing. Or like some things, it's just a million things. The only thing I can speak on is like what happened to me, right? So for me, it was like 19, 20, like turned 21 in Vegas, and this whole time I'm like dropping records independently with just me and my manager and my homies, like going on tour with random people, like just to like just God blessings. Like one day I was at I forget the name of the festival. It was right there at the Angel Stadium. It was Day and Night Festival. And I just got off stage, and then I was like going to say what's up to Post Malone and them at their trailer. And then when I walked up, Post walked right up to me. He's like, "What's up, bro? You want to go on tour with me?" I was just like, yeah, like fully independent. You know what I mean? Like 19 years old, like got a buzz going on my own, got a song played on the radio, 1 million views on YouTube, and then like I'm on tour with Post Malone. So then labels started hitting me up like instantly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right away I was getting contacted by many labels. But it was like a 2-year process of me like I wanted a crazy deal. I wanted over $1 million for 50-50 split on only my records, like only my royalties. Like I'm keeping my publishing, I'm keeping my touring, I'm keeping my merch, I'm keeping my brand deals, I'm keeping everything. Everyone's like, "You're fucking crazy. Like no one's gonna give you that deal, bro. Like you're tripping." Like, all right, cool. Then I'm not gonna. All right, I got more work to do. You know, just kept going, kept dropping music. Went through some like personal things with the person that I was working with, you know, and we had to take like a 6-month break from each other. Legal things had happened. Got to the bottom of that, got it all figured out. It was on some like I had made hella money and hadn't gotten paid anything yet.
Yeah.
And
you
had
hear
to
that
get,
story a lot, right?
I had to get that, you know. So got that figured out. We got back on track, started dropping music again. A lot of the labels were telling me like, "Oh yeah, we see this and we see that, but like you've never gone on your own tour. So we want a piece of your touring because we don't know if you're actually a touring artist. You've gone on tour with so-and-so and so-and-so, but we don't know if you sell tickets." So I was like, all right, I'll be right back. Like did a tour with my booking agents. We did like 40,
when was that tour?
the All for the Love tour was in like 2018.
Okay.
And 48 stops or something like that.
And was that your first big tour on your own?
First headlining tour ever, sold out every single day.
Nice.
Every single day. It was like,
Do you like being on tour?
I love it. I appreciate it way more now. You know, I'm older, I'm smarter. I'm like, you know, you're young, you get caught up in things, you're dealing with so much stuff that you don't even know you have to address quite yet because you're just distracted and you're growing up. And you know, like from 19 to 21 I like grew 10 years, you know, like business wise, behind the scenes, peeping game from certain people, like going through stressful situations that like made me feel older. The industry putting that like you're 19 but like when you're 20 you're basically 30. You know what I'm saying? Type of a thing at the time. So it was like all these things start getting in your head and kind of like fucking it up for you per se, you know? So like, and at the time I had a really bad like problem with drinking lean. And that was like kind of my scapegoat for a while. And it took me a long time to kick that. But that like ruined a lot of things for me and like put me into a place that like I had no other choice but to like, all right, I'm either gonna stop doing this or like I'm gonna die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it kind of.
And it's one of those things like once people are leaning or drinking lean,
Yeah.
you're doing it all day.
Oh, it was bad. Like especially once I got money, because it was just cool at first. It was something to do. It was just like, you know, it wasn't as bad as what it is. It's just lean. It's not like liquid heroin. No one tells you.
They don't tell you it's liquid heroin?
Yeah, bro. Until you're addicted, you having withdrawals and all types of crazy stuff. And then I'm like, well, I said I would never do drugs. I just drink and smoke. Now I'm like having withdrawals like that. I'm like a drug addict. And then like I come from a background where I was never going to be that. So that was a wake up call for me. And I quit for a while. But then like the label situation happened. So let me get into that. We could talk about the drug abuse thing in a second. But I want to finish this label thing because it's like it's a lot to it. So we basically went on that tour, right? Sold out the dates, came back home. Like the labels had been flying out to a couple of the tour dates and stuff like that, checking it out, seeing what the hype was about. Everyone's like all stoked. I'm playing them new songs. They're like, this is the album. these are the records, blah, 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 blah. Just all this shit, right? And then I finished the tour. They're still kind of go back and forth with me. Like, all right, we'll do the 50-50 split on the royalties, but we're not going to give you $1 million. And mind you, I kept my whole back catalog and only sold them 3 records. So like that's crazy, like that's unheard of. And what happened was where I fucked up was the 3 records that they ended up buying, right? So here, that's skipping steps. So they're not trying to pay me the money, right? They're only trying to do the royalty thing. And then I get home from tour and I'm home for like 2 weeks and My buddy Nathan had introduced me to G-Eazy because he had been like listening to my music a couple times.
G-Eazy had?
Nathan worked with him.
Oh, okay, yep.
So Nathan worked with him, and he was like, heard G-Eazy listening to my music, and then after like 2-3 times, he was like, yo, like, you know, I know that kid, right? And like, I grew up with him, and he's like, Pinch, like, oh, what? I fuck with his music. Like, that's crazy. You should bring him to a music video. So he brought me to a music video. He's cool, super chill. He was like, yo, you should come to this show that I have like a week from now. All right, cool. I'm there. Go to the show a week later. I'm backstage, and right before he walks on stage, he's like, you want to go on tour with me in Europe? I'm like, bruh, what the fuck? Like, this is kind of just like God again. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, 100%. Tell the label, like, yo, we're going to have to put all this on hold. Like, I'm about to go on tour with G-Eazy in Europe. They're like, what? You're going to do what? Like, you did. And this is all on my own, right?
Yeah.
Like, no help. Like, people are on labels and don't get looks like that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So at that point, it was kind of like the power was back in my court. And me and G-Eazy had just done a record we were planning on releasing while we were on tour. Fast forward, go to the tour. First night of the tour, chaos breaks loose. Something crazy happened. G-Eazy ended up going to jail. His team tried to like separate the whole thing. I didn't even know if the tour was gonna end or not, or if I was gonna still be on it, you know. And then we ended up still being on it, but we didn't really perform the song, didn't promote the song. The whole song kind of died out. You know what I mean?
He went to jail.
Yeah.
What country were you in?
We were in Sweden.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, everyone did, unfortunately.
And the tour went on though with.
Yeah, like after, like he went to jail for like 3 days and then flew, like got out of jail, flew to a festival, came back on tour, and then like we were just like at rehearsal, you know, and I didn't know if I was gonna be on the tour or not, but he vouched for us, wanted us on it, wanted me on it, you know. So we did, and then I talked to him, and like we just had a real heart-to-heart conversation, and he like taught me some stuff that like will forever like stick with me in my head, and I'll remember that. Yeah, just pure wisdom, you know.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like because I've always tried to look out for other people and stuff like that, you know, because especially if you feel like someone else has more to lose, you know, but you always have to remember like yourself too at the end of the day as well. And like even when I'm in a position, like don't forget how much I have to lose in certain situations, you know.
100%. And for somebody like him, and I think that's like an honorable thing to do, and people need to do more of it, of like passing down information or passing down things they've done wrong, or even if it is just that piece of wisdom.
I'll be
forever
100% grateful
right?
for him for that, and also just other game and like love that he showed me from the whole time that we were on that tour, and like rocking like that, because like he's really like a solid dude. Like he reached his hand out and brought me on that tour, like put me on game, did the record with me, all this stuff that like most people are like not trying to do that for anybody, let alone an up and coming artist, you know what I mean? Like so like that was pure respect. And then at the same time, I'm in Europe, I'm going back and forth with the label, so I'm getting label advice from him as well, you know what I mean? Like our situations were completely different.
What label was he on, or is he on?
I think he's with Sony.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And it's just all different, because even him, like he signed his deal when he was super young, and it's probably renegotiated and done hella different things at that point compared to where I
probably didn't realize he was going to end up doing like 20,000 seat venues as a white rapper.
Dude, you know, exactly. And it's like to see like how big he was in Europe and everything that was going on, it was like, it was just wild, because at the same time I'm going back and forth with this label about things and signing. And
do you still have the same manager? Like, or when that shit happened, did you and your manager part ways?
We came back.
You came back.
We came back. So, we're in Europe. All chaos is going on within my group between like my manager and DJ and certain stuff. It was just chaos. I'm trying to deal with the label situation. The label's like, yo, we're going to give you what you want, but you have to sign it before you leave Europe. Like we're going to fax it over. You have to sign this contract. Like, because at that point it was like, all right, is
that peer pressure, or is that pressure?
For sure, because they also knew, though, I feel like, like every other label that told him no is going to come back now and be like, all right, you proved us wrong. Not just them, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm a very loyal person, so it wouldn't even matter to me, because they had been showing as much interest and like love for as long as they did, you know? Like I would have stayed loyal to them and been like, yo, you've proved to me and shown them the most effort, you know? And like you've been willing to work towards this more than anyone else is. Now that I proved everyone wrong, they want to jump on. Obviously, that's what's gonna happen when you prove people wrong, you know. But that wasn't even part of it. I was just 21, like, damn, I'm about to get an M. I'm finessing, blah blah blah. Sign the deal, get home, money hits my bank account. I'm like at the pool, fucking at this little hotel in Huntington Beach called Paseo. I buy everyone a round of drinks. Like I'm all stoked. Everything's all great, right? And then I find out, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. Actually, no, like 2 or 3 weeks later, that sure enough, one of the 3 songs that they bought, Smoke and Drive, Weezer wasn't going to clear it. And I told him that they weren't going to clear it. And the head of the label was just like, oh no, we got connections. Like, they owe me favors. The manager, I'm friends with this, da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm telling you, bro.
Weezer, like the band?
Yeah, the band.
The
Weezer, the
big-
lead singer, his father passed away from a drunk driving incident. And I had this song with Black Bear called Smoke and Drive. And he had like a 0 tolerance policy for driving under the influence. So we did remixes on the verses and changed everything. And he's like, nah, it can't be Smoke and Drive. We're like, what if it's a cigarette? Blah, blah. It's like, nah, it just can't be. Like, you guys can leave the song up, but I'm not going to clear it and no one's going to make money off of it. So we're like, that's hella respect. That's love that you're even down to just let it be up. And I respect that, you know, like you addressed me about it. You told me why you weren't comfortable with that. And the reasoning is like, duh, yeah, for sure, bro. Like, I feel you 100%. I'm not even going to argue with you. And then when it came to the label and that was a song that they wanted, it was like, yo, I'm telling you, he's not going to let us get this record. And they're like, we got it. Don't worry about it. So I'm like, all right, whatever. They got that record, Rock With Us. And then the song I did with G-Eazy, died out because there was no more promos, no more music video after the Europe tour. Rock With Us was like my first song on the radio, but it wasn't streaming like my other songs. And the Weezer record's dead. So there's $0. You just gave me $1 million and now you have one song that's barely going like that to recoup all your money. And I've never even generated $1 million off my music at that point yet anyways. It was too good to be true. I didn't think ahead and like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to. So what happened? A whole year of them not letting me drop my album, Back to the Beach with Cisco Adler, right? So I had an album ready before that album for Columbia. And it was the album that when they came on the tour, they were like, these are the songs, this is the album, this is what's next, like this is it, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sign, we're gonna drop this album, it's go time. Not at all. The records didn't get cleared. They didn't get their money back. Certain executive people and certain A&Rs were scared to bring it up to the bosses of like, yo, we just took a L. You know what I mean? And there's nothing we could really do about it. Other than make this kid drop as many records as we possibly can and make money off these new records and not let him drop his album. Because when I turned the album in, they had to pay me more money. So, you know, it was too good of a deal. Right?
Okay, go.
So here goes this 8-month process of like, nah, the music isn't good enough. You don't got enough likes. You're not having enough features. You're not cool anymore. Like, what the
That's what the label's telling you.
Yeah, bro,
Just
all these
they don't
different
want you to
people.
drop this album.
Because they're trying to they're trying to tell me I got to work hard and not ready and this, that, and the other thing. And people are just scared to tell their boss what the situation is. Like, you want to make your money back? Let's drop the album and make your money back. Let's just renegotiate how much you got to pay me to turn the album in. But that was never an open debate or a conversation. And it got to the point, like 3 months into me being signed to the label, every single hand that I shook, shoulder that I hugged, or baby that I kissed got fired and switched to a different label. Like exactly what they would tell you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, labels, you'll be there for 6 months, then they'll fire the staff, and then they'll be at your competing label working with the artists who are trying to be like you. Bro, I was so discouraged when that happened. I told my manager, I'm like, I don't even want to talk to them anymore. I'm going to tell you what to tell them, and you're going to do that because I'm so frustrated. I'm going to yell. I'm going to be pissed off. What I should have done is yelled and been pissed off. What happened was I thought my manager was going to express how I felt, but instead they started getting in his head. He started to be in the label. He started thinking like, damn, oh, you don't got enough this. Oh, maybe you're not the shit. Maybe I should. Da-da. And then it kind of started fucking with me like, damn, bro, like, am I not lit enough? Is my music not good? Like, do I not have enough likes? Like, should I work with other people and get more features? And then it got to the point where it was like, I don't even know. All I know is I love my music, and then I'm back on the lean. I'm back, you know what I'm saying? Like, running from all these situations and these things that, like, realistically could have just been one conversation, you know? Like a legit business conversation of like, yo, we gave you too much money. We're not making our money, but it doesn't make sense. We can't let you drop this album because we can't pay you more money. That's
but nobody's
ridiculous.
telling you that?
No, everyone's scared to bring it up to their boss that that's the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, everyone's trying to save their ass. No one wants to lose their job. Like, yeah, we just signed this new kid, and now we're $1 million in the hole. Like, bro, like, that's bad news. And I understand that now that I know what the situation was. But during that time, bro, I was going through it. I was like, what is going on right now? And at the same time as this, I'm seeing all the other labels that I said no to. And even some labels, I won't even go into names or specifics, but when I told them no, they're like, all right, we're just going to sign so-and-so. We're going to make them make the same music, dress just like you. We can make another you. Come on. And guess what happened? They made 4 or 5 other me's all in that year. All the other labels, all these other people, all this other stuff going on. I just had to sit there and be like,
With your hands tied, right?
My
In a
hands
sense,
tied,
like-
bro, and all these bangers and all this shit and all these things that I want to do, and I'm showing people records and I'm hearing the style of stuff. Like, bro, I wanted to do like solidify that whole like back to the beach wave. Like, yo, I really grew up listening to like this type of music, pop punk, all this, like incorporating that, like, yeah, like that voice into rap music. Like, that's not authentic for you guys. You don't even listen to that. Like, let's go play those songs that you're trying to sound like. And can you sing those songs? Do you know that? No, you're just doing that because that's what's in right now or what someone at your label is telling you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm over there at Cisco's house at this point. It's like, Hail Mary, like, well, what if we let Cisco Adler executive produce the project and we'll work on it? And then it had already been 8 months at this point. They milked me for like 12 records, you know, singles that are all going to them to make their original money back, right?
And
Records that were supposed to be on the album.
Yeah.
Actually, let me backtrack. They gave me a release date for my album. I went on the radio at 3 different places and announced it. The day came and they didn't drop the album.
Huh.
And then my lawyers hit them up, and then their lawyers are like, "Oh, it's all about money. Like, that's all it is. We just can't pay you that much." And Like,
Well, it's crazy.
and then it was like, "This been this the whole time for 9 months. I've been here making music, and this is the only conversation that we're having."
It's crazy because like
Crazy,
even when Kanye released that last album of his, he went on this rant about the people they took off the album, and it's crazy. You realize even at the highest level, once it gets passed over to the label, you've lost all control.
At a certain point, yeah, 100%. And what basically ended up happening was me and Cisco Adler made this whole Back to the Beach album at his house, right? They gave us a release date, and the album didn't drop.
Sick studio, right?
Dude, super sick. Legendary vibe. His dad's place is all the movie stuff on the wall. It's just like I'm in like a time capsule or something. Like, and it was great.
We actually did a season where we did the Danny and Dingo.
Oh,
we have to do
bro.
these recaps. We did it at his house one year.
Oh yeah, that backdrop was gorgeous.
That's fine. Yeah, like the Malibu backdrop.
I wanted to
That's
rent
so
the yard.
perfect.
I'm like, dude, can I set a teepee up here and like live here for a
Right?
little bit?
Like a couple weeks or what?
Did that album ever come out?
So yeah, that was Back to the Beach, and what ended up happening was the day came, nothing happened. The lawyers started talking, and then it was like, all right, let's start negotiating. He doesn't want anything to do with you guys anymore. He wants to leave Colombia. Like, you had every chance during the past 8 months to make this right or like make him want to stay, but he doesn't. He wants to leave with the music. He wants to drop this album and be done with you guys. However we need to do that, recoup your money, whatever. Like, you don't even have to, I don't even want a huge advance to turn the album in. I just want you to give me enough money to pay the producers, shoot the videos, and pay for certain features that I had to pay for. Because most of them were homie hookups and free. So after 2-3 months of the lawyers going back and forth and me trying to call the head of Columbia, like, oh,
You're trying to call?
I was like, bro, like, cause I don't even want to say too much, but I had inside information from a certain somebody, right? And so I was like, oh, like, have a nice trip here, like when you land or whatever, give me a
like,
call.
whoa, how the
He's like,
on vacation
know
and all of
I'm
a sudden
in
he's
King.
like
Yeah,
got his little fruity drink and he's out by the pool and pinches like, hey bro.
enjoy your drink. That are like, how you like looking around? Like, so basically, he was like, brought it up to the A&R. I was like, yo, what's up with Pinch? I keep getting these phone calls to the office and my phone, like, what's up with him? And they're like, oh, so what happened was like, we didn't make any of the money back. Weezer, remember when you said that you were gonna get Weezer? Well, Weezer never cleared it, and the records only made this much money back, and we've been milking them doing this much. Now he wants to leave the label. Why? Oh, he's been holding it for this much time. He's got this album, this music. Well, okay, let him release the album and go ahead and leave. And that album and all the music that he's made will be recoupable to the grand total of money that we've given him over the whole amount of time. But like, let him go. Let him do his career. Let him do his thing. How are you going to make your money back if you're holding him, stopping the momentum, trying to kill my career? How are you going to make your money back? You're not. That's not what's going to happen. And anyone with a business mind or no like emotion or like being too close to the situation would see that. You know what I mean? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you mad? Like, let him go so you can make your money back. Like, what? So what happened was they let me go. I decided to distribute the album through Black Bear, through Bear Trap.
Yep.
So we distributed it through Black Bear. We had the lead single Beach Ballin' with Black Bear, so it made sense. I was gonna release it through Foundation anyways, who I already released my music through independently, and it just made sense. He helped me get super sick playlisting. The album was banging. I had Wiz Khalifa. I had Good Charlotte on the album. I had freaking my boy Puya. I had the Black Bear feature. Like, I had all these records on this project that were like so legendary, but there just was no huge big label push, any of that thing behind it, right?
Yep.
But it still popped off, like, right? But guess when I dropped it, bro? In January of 2020, I announced my tour, and then
The world stopped.
The world stopped, and I had to cancel my tour and refund all these tickets, and then into this huge downward spiral of 2020 of just like, whoa, dude, like I would just came out of that, and now like everything was up again, and now like this is completely out of my hands. So back on the lean again. I started, you know what I mean, like just trying to run from that, because I had quit. Oh, if I want to sip it, I could sip it. Like I got to that point, kind of a thing, you know. And then it got bad again, and it was like my birthday in April, and I remember it was like I had a birthday party at my house, and it was like a breaking point for me of just like.
Is your house in Huntington or your house in LA?
My house in LA.
Do you still have the place in LA?
I just got rid of it a couple days ago, bro. Yeah. I needed to get rid of it. It was great, and then it got dark, and then it just became a burden. I was never there, never wanted to be there.
If it's dark and there's a burden, you don't need it.
It's a fresh start. Like everything in my life right now is like a fresh start, like a new era, a new chapter of my whole life. Which this 2020 is what led to this though. So, like April, my birthday, 2020, at my house. I wanted all my family there, everyone there. Everyone that I wanted there wouldn't come because of COVID. They were like scared, you know what I mean? Which was like,
isn't that weird? We lived in a time like
yeah, but it like, and I understood, but at the same time, like it hurt me, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, yo, it's my birthday, my family, like it's the only people I care about. And this is after living the past 3 years of my life, like splurging, big groups of people, fake friends around me, all types of shit, just like young, hella money, traveling, like that lifestyle, you know what I mean? And like
fake friend lifestyle.
Yeah, bro, you know what it is? It's like LA, right?
Yeah,
period. I'm not from LA, but I'll play around, do the thing. Oh, it feels good. Yeah, kiss my ass. That shit's whack, bro. But when you're 19, 20, 21, like you don't know no better. And for someone who had gone through as much as I went through, I think, bro, I just didn't want to be alone. For real. You know what I'm saying? Because like when I'm alone, then I got to think about everything I got to deal with.
You get dark.
Exactly. So my birthday came around, hella people showed up that I didn't want to come. Like just people that were just down to fucking
like,
everyone that was down to party during COVID who was like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I was kind of like, but I remember like we had a good time, you know, I got drunk, and I took mushrooms. Bro, I ended up in the jacuzzi crying. I don't know if I could talk about all this, kind of a little bit too much detail, but I ended up crying, bro, like having a breakdown. And I was like full breakdown, just like so unhappy. And I'm like, I just went in my room and I'm like, bro, I'm over this. Locked myself in the room rest of the night. Like a couple homegirls that were like, make me a cake. And I was like, what's going on? Da-da-da. And I was in there and I was just sad, bro. And I was really sad. And it kind of triggered a point in me of like, I was finally done with all this like fake materialistic things that made me happy. It's like rock bottom of like, none of that shit's going to make me happy. I need what really is going to make me happy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's like, you know, good people, family, like good intentions, my mind being in the right place, knowing what my purpose is, like having a good routine, being healthy, being around the right mindsets and things like that. And then at the end of the day, like I still was so weak and not had dealt with any of my stuff that I was like, just like, all right, shook it off. You know, the next day came and it was like, all right, back to normal life. That was weird. You know what I mean? I was crying on my birthday. Like, what the hell happened, right? And then like a month later,
you're allowed to cry on your birthday.
Yeah, for sure. I'm allowed to cry whenever now at this point. Like that's a whack narrative. Like the man box or whatever. Everyone's got to be all tough and da-da-da. Like, bro, half of y'all need to cry, bro. Like a lot of people just need to let it out, bro. Because that's why you act like a dick. You're like, that's why you're mad, bro. Like you just need to cry. Like you're not as tough as you think you are, and nobody is. There'll always be somebody tougher as well. So like that's just like it's pointless.
That's facts.
But anyways, like a month after my birthday, I was chilling with one of my homies, actually one of my homies that's here right now. And I was just like, you know, riding around, we were sipping lean already, just like bullshitting, like just trying to like keep my mind off of the thought of like me never touring again or me never being able to be an artist again because the whole world shut down.
What a scary thought though, right?
It was so scary,
you know, your
bro.
livelihood is like putting people in seats and entertaining for people.
Man, and that's one of the main things that I love the most, that I get. Like that interaction with the fans in real life, not DMs, not social, like that's all cool, you know. And I read a long DM, you saved my life, you were the only person that was there for me when no one else was, just with your music, right? That means the world to me. That's what keeps me going. But like those in-person fan interactions and stuff is what reminds you, like, this is what's important, bro. All that da-da-da-da-da, like who cares? Like these are the people, you know, or even the money and the fame and all that, like the lives and the influence and the impact and the people that you're that's what's really most worth it, you know what I mean? And like what you'll remember and what you'll take from all of that, not how much you got paid for that show. Like the person that at the meet and greet that you met, that was like, whoa, that was crazy, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So I think at that time it was just like I was just scared and I was nervous and all these things started coming up, and I was like tired of like, you know, just like being single, like being heartbroken, you know, like I'm forever heartbroken. I'm never gonna love a girl and da 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 da. No one will love me for who I am. They just want me for the money and this, that, and the other thing, right? But I do fall quickly, so I would never let myself ever, ever, ever. You know what I mean? And that went on for years, right? And then that month after my birthday, we were riding around sipping lean. I ran into my mom at a gas station, homeless. She was like, Blake, da da da. One of my friends was like, whoa, back up, da da da. And I was like, I freaked out on my homie and I freaked out on my mom, and I just got in my car and I left both of them there, and I called the homegirl, had her give me a pint of lean. The pint of lean ended up being laced with fentanyl. I woke up the next morning in the hospital, almost OD'd.
Oh shit!
So I was like, all right, that's the end. That's like rock bottom for me. I'm never sipping, quitting. And I did. I quit. Ended up getting a girlfriend like 2 months later because I was hanging out with this girl that I've been talking to for a while, but I just knew I wasn't ready. Like, she was a good girl. She was nice. She was what I wanted, what I would look for in somebody that I would date, you know? But I was just too wild and too fucked. I was like, if I try at this now, like, I'm going to ruin it fully. You know what I mean? So we started hanging out more, and she ended up being like a huge part of my growth, like away from, you know, the substance abuse, and like more towards like growing mentally and like dealing with my issues for real instead of running from them or like, you know, suppressing them with certain things. And so that's literally what the past 2 years for me has looked like, bro. Is like getting myself back to where I need to be mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, everything, to do what I want to do the next time around the right way and like my way, and like actually have an impact and like do it for a purpose and do it for a reason that's like my reason, not anybody else's. Not, you know, no other outside voices are gonna like get to me the way they got to me the first time, you know, because like now I'm more sturdy and steady in who I am opposed to before, where it's like I'm just like a product of my environment, really, you know what I mean, whoever I'd be hanging out with. So yeah, man, I took the past, like even last year I had to use my music as leverage to get a new manager and like get out of like certain situations. And so I only dropped 3 songs last year.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. And like, luckily people still listen to my music. Like, I still have a fan base. Like, when I drop music, it goes back up. You know what I mean? It's just like, but I would be lying if I said I couldn't feel the impact of those 2 years or that 3 years, even with the label and everything and the momentum and everything slowing down. But for a while that scared me and like made me like depressed or like worry, you know?
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's liberating, because it's like, oh, like that, what that was in that era, like that's already dying out.
Yeah.
And it's already dead in me. It's gone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to come back into like what that was or what that is. Like, that was just, you know? And then for me too, it's like where I'm at right now and the position that I'm at mentally, everything I was just saying is a million times better than where I was at when I did all this shit in the first place. So I have no doubt in my mind that I'll be right exactly where I was at times 10, as long as I put my mind to it and, you know, allow myself to not make the same mistakes that I made before. Because if I wouldn't have had those 2 years of that growth and like that humbling and just like reality check, I would probably like overdosed or like die, like, you know,
right.
Yeah, bro, it just would have been dark. Like, you know, there would have been no like light at the end of the tunnel, really. Like, you know,
what an emotional roller coaster, eh?
Wild, bro, crazy.
A fucking movie. So where are you at with new music right now?
Bro, I just got locked in with my new manager as like a sign of like, hell yeah, thanks for that. I dropped the final chapter of Forever Heartbroke on Valentine's Day, which is like a little 4-track EP that I've been doing since like 2016.
Yep.
Right after I graduated high school, like I had 2 of my buddies who are super close to me. Like growing up, we kind of lost connection a little bit in high school, and then like because they got kicked out and stuff. And then senior year, one of my buddies came back. I tried to help him like pass class by having girls like do his homework for him and stuff like that.
How'd that work out?
It worked good until the 3rd week before summer. He broke a kid's jaw and went to jail, and then he got expelled.
All right.
Yeah, so I was kind of bummed. I was kind of bummed on him. I was like, damn, bro, I just tried to help you this whole year. And like that, like you're trying to stay out of trouble. And then 3 weeks before you do that, like what? That's like a fuck you to me too. You know what I mean? So I was kind of upset about that. And unfortunately, like 6 months after we graduated, he passed away in a car accident. Him and my other friend, they passed away in a car accident in Huntington. And I remember being in the studio, and my ex-girlfriend at the time, we ended up breaking up and all this crazy shit, which birthed Forever Heartbroke. She called me and she told me that. And I remember just like breaking down and just crying and feeling all this remorse and stuff. And that was like what started me wanting to like make songs that like show that pain and those things that people are probably scared to talk about, or like the emotions and certain regrets of certain things that most people probably wouldn't say or talk about, you know what I mean? And then from there, it sparked to like every Valentine's Day I would drop that project, and it became like a pretty solid source of like my fans depending on that, you know? We got all the cool, fun party stuff and albums, but when it comes Valentine's Day, we're getting that heartbroke shit for like the people who just like got cheated on or broke up with their girlfriend or whatever, you know? But for me, this final chapter that I just released was like, it's the end of that. Like, I'm not forever heartbroken anymore. Like, I'll talk about anything whenever. I don't need to be a specific time. And like, I don't want to promote the like forever heartbroken aspect of things. Like, I don't want someone to be thinking that they're forever going to be heartbroken. Like, you can change that. You know what I mean? Like, I've been you before, but of the past 2 years, I've grown to realize you don't always have to be like that, you know? Like, you can find love in different things or certain people and like just grow and like not like prolong like a process that's bad, you know?
Yeah, I feel like at times that you're right. Like, it feels like you're never going to get out of that situation, but it's like rock bottom. You're always going to, you're going to bounce back or you're going to go up. Even though you feel like 100%. In that situation you cannot. It's even like depression at its finest. You feel like there's no way out of it, even though there is. Mm-hmm. It's just, sometimes you got to fight through it or stick it out, you know?
And what kind of bummed me out and also kind of pushed me towards this was seeing how like popular it became to be depressed.
Crazy, right?
Heartbroken. And then now you got a whole generation of kids who are like killing themselves and doing all this thing and thinking it's cool or like it's gonna solve their problems, now. Bro. Yeah, like
isn't that fucking crazy?
I want to die so my music will blow up. Like, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that's just wild. Like, you wouldn't even want to be here to see the fruits of your labor. Like, bless your family. Even if you're doing it for like, oh, so my family will be straight or this, that, or the other thing. Like, it's just crazy to think about, you know? And like, I think it's just a great testament to where I'm at, dropping that project and being like, this is a new era, a new story to my life, you know? Like, that book is closed, that chapter, that era, all that. And then like the next things that I'm about to do are similar to that. Like, I'm about to start dropping music again on the 1st of April. I'm bringing back this other thing that I've done since the beginning of my career called Forever Fridays, where I drop a song every Friday for like 10 weeks and basically just like kind of take over like pinch season. I've been gone for a year, and like now you guys get to hear all these records, all the stuff that I'm working on. I'm gonna be back present on socials, like doing my thing again. So
you took a break from socials too?
Yeah, bro. I was just like, feel like I gave too much of my life to the internet.
Isn't it crazy like how like addicted we are to that shit?
It's crazy.
Like you've grown up with it, like whereas where like it came into our lives, but still I find the same. Like, I just went back home for a little bit, and like I just don't look at it. And it's crazy, like how much you can just get out of it. But then as soon as you're back in regular life, you wake up, it's like the first thing you look at, or it's the last thing you look at before you go to bed. It takes over your days, and then takes over your lives, and then takes over. It's fucking wild.
I feel like it took away from my mystique.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like it took away from... I want to see him there in person. I want to hear what he's got to say. I want to watch that interview. I want to buy a ticket to that tour date, or I want to know what's going on inside his mind. Oh, I know what's going on inside his mind. I know what he's doing today. I know what he's doing tomorrow.
Isn't that crazy?
I know what he wears. I know what he looks like. I know what to expect from him. I know what not to expect from him. Like, and for me, like, it was like a little bit of growing up in that, and like, oh, look at what I'm doing. And then also like, it was like a strategic thing. Like, people were in my ear, like, you need to show more of your real life. You need to show who you are. Cause like people like who I am. Right. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to do all that yet. And if that even like directly correlates with what's going on in my career right now, you know? So I feel like it kind of confused me and confused people of just like, bro, there's some of that stuff that like the growing up and the figuring yourself out and the like going through certain phases and doing certain things that does not need to be all over the internet.
100% no.
Yeah, you could just have a couple pictures like, oh, that was when, oh yeah, we don't need to talk about that era. You feel me? Instead of like 7 Instagram stories all day, like 3 Instagram stories from a party. You're like, oh, I lived that whole era with you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, there's some of my friends I follow, they'll have like 40 stories in a day, and you're like, how did you troll the internet to find these stories? Like,
it's wild.
How is it like,
Well, it's taken over some people's lives. It's fucking, it's crazy.
It matters more about that than it does being there.
Yeah, and I also think importance, like for you, like as an athlete, you can show yourself on top of a podium or whatever it is, continuously. But I think like for the important part about being an artist is also having a a secret side to you. You don't want everyone to know everything about you.
At
all, right?
Yeah, at all. I mean, if you do, then you do. And if you don't, then you don't, right? So, and even certain times, like there's certain times or certain songs where I'm always going to pour my everything into the music, you know? But necessarily like how much I want to show you of not the music, you know what I mean? Like me hanging out and doing this, me hanging out and being regular, doing this, then people start to just like, you lose that mystique that you're always a normal guy. That's just pinch. That's
kind of a cool part too, though. You know,
like,
I think people
which
want to
is
see,
great, but at
like
the end
normal,
of the day,
like,
it's like there's a balance.
Be like,
you know what I
this
mean?
is my coffee routine.
Yeah, and there is
like,
a balance
oat
though.
milk with a splash of almond. And they're like,
you.
whoa, this dude's beyond normal.
I think like when you do, you want people to have that like look up to you or whatever, have that mystique, like superhero aspect or whatever, but you also want them to know that, you know, you're Superman, but you're also Clark Kent, right?
Yeah,
but
like,
you don't want to be
normal.
all Clark Kent and like not that much Superman, or just all Clark Kent and no Superman. Right? So 2020 or certain times where it's like, oh, I'm just living my normal life, just showing you what I'm doing. I'm not releasing music. I'm just healing. I got a girlfriend now. Like, okay, cool. Like, you're not Superman anymore. You're just Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
Sometimes
like,
I got to put the suit back on, or like this mask, right? Like,
yeah,
the mask,
sometimes like
the mask.
I want to get one of those.
As like an athlete or an artist, like you almost feel like it's your job. Like, okay, now I got to like tell everyone what I'm doing because that's my responsibility. That's why, you know, these record companies pay me. This is what's going to get me more likes.
And no one ever knows, which is the beautiful part about it. You know? It's all like universe, whatever you believe, God, it's all written. Like there's nothing you could do or anyone else could do to control those situations or have the answer, you know? So I think that's like a powerful thing too, to like what you're saying is like there is no like right way to do that, you know? I just feel like I got to a point where it was just like I'm ready to like be an artist and have it be art and not just be like, oh, that's Penchant, he drops good music and like the streams are up and the money's good and he's always on tour and he's doing it, right? Like I want to do art. Like, oh, that's a project. That's of like what almost like similar. Like Kanye is a great example in the sense of like being an artist. Like when he's a project, like does a project, there's a whole look, art, vibe, character around. David Bowie is another great example. You know what I mean? You gotta build a whole character around this piece of work.
Yeah.
You know what? And then be that.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's like
that
the true
excites
art form,
me, right?
Is
You
like
know,
you're
I like
expressing that thing, but then
100%.
also like thinking of these 2 points outside the box. How does it connect with, you know,
and
core
evolving?
fans?
Like,
how does it make sense with, you know, what's going on in the world today?
That's the hard part, is the core fans of certain things. Because when you evolve in any form of your life, as an artist, as a brother, sister, husband, wife, anything, you're gonna have other people that aren't ready for that, don't want to see it, aren't comfortable with it. Like, I like the old, I'm used to the old you. Like, I want the old pinch, right? Like, I want that. Like, that reminds me of this and da-da-da-da. But, like, that's not what I want. And this new song might be better than that old song. But it just in your mind, you're like, oh, but I like this more. Like, you're not ready for the evolution. But that's
It's
the part
true,
of
like,
evolving.
yeah,
You
like
evolve out of certain people, out of certain fan bases and certain things. And I think that's what's exciting for me, is the evolving part and not caring about, like, having to keep this and having to worry about streams or blah, 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 and just doing what I want artistically is, like, what the next chapter is going to be for me. And I feel like these masks, I'll say very few things about it right now, but it'll be very symbolic of that with, like, my next releases of, like, me getting that mystique back and kind of being like, whoa, like, that's not the exact, like, pinch that I was used to, or like what I would expect right now. Maybe not musically, but just like in certain aspects of things.
Yeah, but you're never gonna please everyone
Ever.
so you might as well please yourself.
Amen.
You know, and like, you're a fucking artist, so that's art. Not everybody, you know, doesn't like the fucking painting on the wall, then fuck it.
For real.
Dude, we appreciate you here at Monster Energy. You're fucking awesome. Danny, we do these like lightning round things at the end here, and it's just like fast, quick paced. He like stays up late at night to make sure these are all.
Well, I scroll the internet, but usually I'm looking at dirty stuff, and then I finish this in the morning. But we'll get right into it because I was up super late last night. Only because Dingo is making me watch some.
I was gonna say
war movies.
I'm into war movies.
I was gonna
now.
say not too much dirty stuff. I hope.
No. You asked this question on your Twitter. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, what would you do?
I would spend as much time as I possibly can with my family and the people that I love, probably.
What do you do first thing in the morning? Because it's not on your Instagram.
I look at my phone.
Yeah,
I
do
look
the
at my
same.
phone. I've been trying to break the habit, but that's what I do.
So I've been trying to put my phone. I put it out in the living room or the kitchen.
That's a big thing.
My
is
uncle
leaving
was
your phone
telling me
away
about
from
and then
the
when the
bed.
alarm
So you
goes
at least
off,
gotta
you
get out
have
of
to
bed
get
to
up.
get your phone.
That's what I'm saying. Then once it kind of gets you up, so it's like I've been trying of late just not bringing my phone to the bedroom.
Yeah. I mean, my uncle's been trying to tell me, like, 30 minutes before you go to bed, no screens, no TVs.
It's
Put
a
your
good thing,
phone
though.
away from you. Like, keep your phone out of your hand or your pocket as much as you can because the radioactivity or the radio waves it puts off. I'm like, whoa, okay.
That's a lot, right?
It's going to give me better sleep. I'll try it.
What's your favorite food in the 714?
Oh, man, my favorite food in the 7. I really love Fuji burgers. I've been
Are
craving
those
it a lot
little
lately.
ones?
No, it's Fuji Burger is on Edinger and Gothard. It's kind of like it's a super low key spot, like right by Golden West College, and it's amazing. They have like so many things there. It's so fire.
When's the last time you skated?
Probably like 4 or 5 days ago. Pushed around a couple kickflips in the parking lot of my buddy's barbershop. I always got my skateboard in the front trunk of my Tesla. always.
Usually, like kickflip first try.
Depends what shoes I'm wearing. If I'm wearing Nikes, then
Yeah, those are hard ones. The Air Force
Converse,
ones
yeah.
are tricky.
yeah.
You got like such a big
There's no
sole
flick.
under your heel. You can't really feel it.
It's rough.
I've taken some pretty good slams trying to kickflip in Air Force ones. That's why I'm on Vans.
Yes,
These ones
sir,
right
Ski.
here.
Funniest thing I ever seen was Nigel grabbed Tony Hawk's skateboard, and it was like his board,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Nigel couldn't kickflip it.
Because it's like 10 inches wide.
Just the whole thing's the setup's different, and
So different.
Nigel, who can literally do a kickflip with his eyes closed anytime of the day, it took him like 7 tries to land it, and he got so angry
And he
because
was probably in his head at that
because, like,
point.
and
Nigel
then Tony
pops,
gets it like first
because
try.
Nigel pops and he couldn't. Every time he'd pop, the ball would go up on his feet. He got so mad until
Probably
he
started
landed
getting in his head, and then it
was
backfired
fucking
even
hilarious.
more. Yeah.
Most legendary tour experience.
Oh man, either just the whole like Europe tour with G-Eazy in general just has one big like bender, kind of what it was, and like or shooting flamethrowers with Post Malone in Florida at like the Sausage Castle or some crazy shit like that.
Sausage gas.
Sausage
Yeah.
I want to go
Castle,
there.
flamethrowers, and Post Malone sounds like a good time.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but that's
I
all
bet.
I want to talk about.
All right, where are the best parties, LA or NYC?
You said LA or NYC?
Yeah.
LA. I haven't had enough great party experiences in NYC, unfortunately.
You got to check out the Flower Shop. That's a pretty hot spot.
Let's go.
Top bucket list place to travel to.
Top bucket list place to travel to. I don't want to be too like basic.
Bougie?
Basic.
Oh,
I
basic.
guess. Yeah.
It's kind of hard because you come from. He was born in a vacation. Like,
Yeah.
people
like,
go on vacation to Huntington
That's
Beach.
true.
Yeah,
He's
it's
like,
kind of
"Nah, I
weird.
live there.
I would say like my number one would just be to travel as many places as I possibly could. I wouldn't even care about where. I think it would just be the number and quantity of places that I went, less of like where that one spot would be, you know.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
My uncle went there. It's like a big hike. Right?
Yeah, big hike, I guess.
I think my mom went there.
It looks really cool. Have you had any songs in a skate or snow video?
I don't know. I've had a bunch of snowboarders like on Instagram throw my songs in edits, but I don't think like an actual part.
That's
Now that I'm
basically like
thinking
a
about
I was
part
gonna
now.
say that kind of counts.
Yeah.
That's like a modern day part.
But for my soul, now that you said that, I feel like I need to like tap in
Yeah,
with somebody and
somebody's
like,
gotta
yo, you're
fucking-
part. Like I need that. Maybe my buddy Austin, my buddy Minnie might have thrown. Shout out to my buddy Austin Heilman. I taught this kid how to like do like lip slides on my rail out front of my house when we were super young, and now he's like ripping, like totally coming up in the skate game. But I think he
Sick.
might have used like one of my songs for like half of one of his videos before, but I could be wrong. I could be
Sick.
If you could be reincarnated as a cat or a dog,
wrong. A dog for sure.
cool. Any special type of dog?
Maybe like a pit bull. I love pit bulls. I have 2 of them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's it.
And there we have it.
That's a wrap. Young Pinch.
Young
There we
Pinch in the
go.
house.
Appreciate you guys
He's
for having
out.
me.
Go listen.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.